For background noise, can everyone mute their end? And hopefully, let me share my screen. Does everyone see like a web page screen on their computer?
Yes. Can you tell me how to mute my landline at home?
Oh, no, I can't. Who is this?
It's Vanessa. I'm working from home. But I'm going to press the mute button, and if I get disconnected, I'll just dial back in.
Okay, and I might be able to mute you from this end, but I hate to.
I don't have no noise going on in the background to make sure that everything was shut off.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't seem noisy from your end. Just to,
all right.
So I think you're okay. I can probably figure out how to mute you if you get out of control.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Who's this meeting? Can you tell us? Introduce everybody?
Yes. So, oh gosh, my eyes. I feel old now. I can't read the screen.
No, I can see the list now. Okay.
Okay, do you see the list? So Patty and Terry, Stacy. Okay, let me see if anybody's not.
I think we have several that are still trying to connect audio.
Yeah, I know, Nicole, you were struggling getting in, but it did eventually work.
Yeah, it didn't like me this morning.
Oh, it's rude. I don't know.
Kept telling me my access code was invalid.
Okay, what I wanted to, and I'll have Nicole take over soon. What I wanted to show people was a couple of things. I appreciate everyone being involved, and Vanessa, especially on your day off. That's no fun. So be quick and thorough. On the web page, everyone knows how to probably get to the school finance web page. Under the accounting tab, in the middle of the page are the upload templates that we're going to talk about. So I don't know if you want to pull them up and look at them, but I'll let Nicole go through that. What I wanted to show you was in the Mayfair system, some of the screens you're going to see, and this is our test data system. So the green background will let you know it's just our system to make sure we've worked out all of the quirks or the bugs as we're changing programming. So when you go into your TFS, what you're going to see differently is specifically with the Building Reserve Fund is, I'm picking on Anaconda High School. If there was nothing in there, it's just going to come up like this. So I'll keep picking on Anaconda. Building Reserve, we have these sub-fund codes. So the Safety Sub-Fund 611, the Voted Sub-Fund 612, 613 is the permissive, and the Transition Fund is 614. That's a voted levy transition. So I'm going to pick on this one. After you select the sub-fund, then you can go in and enter your information. But this is also information that Nicole will go through that you can upload. The same will be true in the expenditure page for the Building Reserve Fund. You have to select a sub-fund. If you don't select a sub-fund, it's not going to let you enter any information. So that, I don't want that to throw you off when you go in the Building Reserve. If you go in any of the other funds, that sub-fund drop-down list is not there. So you don't have to enter it there. This, you might notice, is new. This is the school code reporting. This is for the ESSA requirement. It's not required this year. If you'd like to enter it, any districts, you're certainly welcome to. If you'd like to, even though you don't have to, you can use it. But I want to make sure you knew these sub-fund codes were here. So once I select my voted fund, then I could go in and enter my information. And this will all be on the upload information. Is there any, that's really brief, is there any questions about that?
I had, this is Vanessa, I'm sorry. I had a question because it sounds like we have to do it like the compensated absences and that sort of type of file. Is that going to be correct?
Yes, for the upload?
Yes.
Yes. And Nicole I'm going to turn it over to Nicole in just a minute. I just wanted to show you what the building reserve specifically, what the sub-funds look like, just so you kind of have an idea of that. And Nicole, are you ready if I turn this over to you?
I'm here, I'm ready.
Okay, let me find you on my list. Okay, I'm changing the presenter screen to you. All you.
All right. So I am also on the Mayfair's page. This is also the test site. I'm going to make sure, I'm just going to take a look here real quick and see if there's anybody. It still looks like we're missing quite a few people for sound. Are we having some trouble getting into the call itself? Anybody? Kara, do we want to hang on for a minute and see if we get a few more of these people connected to sound, or do you want me just to go ahead?
Sorry, I muted you and I'm over here talking to myself. Are you saying the ones that don't have the phone won't
Or
be
a
able
phone
to
or
hear?
a computer icon? Because it looks like we're about half right now.
Well, I think Donnie McPhee might be the only one I'm not seeing has anything.
Okay.
I'm here.
Hi, Donnie. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, okay, so it looks like people are connected even if it's not showing. So I'll just go ahead and continue then. And if anybody needs me to stop or has any questions, feel free to either stop me or go ahead and put something in the chat there as well. And I'll try to make sure I look over once in a while and see if that's blinking orange on me. So we'll go ahead and start talking about the revenue files. Kara showed you where those file upload formats are. I'm going to show you here what the revenue file looks like. This is the one that we're going to start with. I wanted to first note that all of these files must be in CSV format, and you'll be familiar with that if you are uploading your compensated expenditure report. The question's already been asked, is this going to replace the compensation expenditure report? And the answer is no, not at this time. So for this year, you're going to have to upload your revenues, your expenditures, and your compensated absence report, or your compensated expenditure reports separately. So it's in CSV format. So this is what it looks like if you bring it up in Notepad. You can see that there are commas in between each of the fields. This will be important when we get to talking about some of the validations on the spreadsheet. All right, so if you look at the upload template in Excel format, you can work with this in Excel format and then convert it to CSV. That seems to be the easiest way to do that. And we'll just go ahead and walk through each of these columns just so we have an understanding of how each of the columns works. So if you look at column A is a valid legal entity number. So this is your 4-digit legal entity number. These legal entity numbers must be formatted to 4 digits. So we'll show you how to do that. If you click the A, just right click, and go to Format Cells, hit Custom, and here where it says General, just type in the number of zeros that you need for that column and hit Enter. Now when you put in an LE number, it automatically pads that for you. So you're now a 4-digit number. Okay. Column B, this is the fiscal year. So this must match the fiscal year for upload. We're currently in 2018 is what we're uploading. Fund code, this is a valid fund code. So if we're doing general fund, it's going to be 1. However, these must be 0 padded as well. So we're going to do the same thing, Format Cells, Custom, and then this is 2 digits. So we're just going to type in 2 zeros and hit Enter. The sub-fund code, Kara talked about that and showed you that in Fund 61 only, so we're going to skip that if this is a general fund revenue. For revenue code, column E, this is a valid revenue code for the fiscal year. That is in B. It's also a valid revenue code for the fund that you've entered. So if we want to type in a revenue code, these are always 4 digits anyway, so no zero padding is required. Project reporter codes are required both for Fund 15 and for Subfund 611 in the Fund 61. So your school safety transfers have to still have a PRC, a project reporter code. If you have project recorder codes that are less than 100, so say 99, these do have to be zero padded to 3 digits. So you're going to format cells, custom, you'll put in 3 zeros and hit enter. Now the amount column, this is important because when we looked at the CSV file, we can see that all the fields are separated by commas. So when we enter amounts here, we want to do it without commas. Let's not quite put that many zeros, and without symbols. So we don't want to put in dollar symbols. We don't want to put in commas, because if I put in a comma, when it pulls into CSV format, it's going to think 1 goes in one field and the zeros go in another field. Okay, so we're going to leave those commas out. We're going to leave all of our symbols out, and that's essentially the format that we're going to have. Any questions about the setup or the format? Okay, so now we're going to take a look at a real file. So this is a revenue file. And you can see we're missing our zero padding, so we're just going to repeat this really quick. Format cells, custom. LE is 4 digits, so we're going to use 4. Fund code, we're going to repeat that. Format cells, custom. 2 zeros. Subfund revenue project reporter code. If I had project reporter codes that were under 100, we will pad these to 3 digits. And we'll hit OK. And then you can see here that we've got all of our revenues listed. And then when we do the save as, so we're in Excel format, so we're going to go File, Save As. And if we were saving it to our desktop, we want to make sure that the Save As type here is set to CSV, comma, delimited, not Excel, because it will not upload in Excel format. So we will hit Save. It comes up with this funny message that says, features may be lost. Do you want to keep using it? You say yes. And now we have a CSV file that is ready for upload. Now, one thing that's important to note, when you go into Mayfair's and you're under data entry and trustee financial summary, the revenue upload is step 6. So you still want to go through steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 before you get to step 6. I'm going to do step 4 because this is the most important one, because if you have project reporter codes in your file, but you've not yet entered your project reporter codes for the year, they're going to error out. So if you want to transfer prior year programs, just click Show Prior Year Programs. Scroll down, do the Copy to Current Year, click Save, and voila, all your prior year programs are there. Okay. Once you've gotten all of those steps done and you're ready to upload your revenues, just go to step 6, revenues. You can see here that you don't see any manual data entry here. And the reason for that is because I do not have a fund selected. So it doesn't matter whether you have no fund selected or a specific fund selected when you do your upload. It will upload regardless of what's selected there. And you're uploading for all files at the same time. You cannot upload a single fund code.
So I have had it a while to review.
So if you click Browse here,
Webinars are scheduled on the last Thursday of the month.
simply find your file. So this is our revenue file.
Oh, okay.
And then click Import Revenues. Now you're going to get a message here that says, warning, upload will overwrite previously uploaded and manually entered data in all funds. Do you wish to continue? You must select OK before you can continue. If you have entered anything previously, either manually or by upload, clicking OK will delete everything you've previously entered. So be careful if you think you can go back and upload maybe 3 or 4 lines. It's going to actually delete all the other information you've already previously entered for revenues only. So it won't erase your expenditures. It won't erase your project reporter code entries, any of that, just your revenue entries. So we're going to say OK. Now it says here, file could not be imported. Okay, and it's going to list all of our errors. So the first error here, notice that it does not give you line numbers, but we tried to make it sufficiently explicative that you could go and find the error in your file easily. So this one says, selected file contains one record with fund code 61, but no subfund code. So if we go back to our revenue file, and we scroll down to Fund 61, there it is. We have no subfund code. So let's enter that subfund code. Okay. Let's go back and look at what some of the errors are. So the selected file contains one record with 01 as a fund code and 3110 as a revenue code. This is a record calculated by the OPI and cannot be imported. So any revenues that are calculated are not included in your upload because we already automatically calculate those for you. So we can simply go back to our revenue file. We can go to Fund 1. Here's our 3110, and we can delete them. Now, before I delete that, because I put that in the same one, it also says we have a record with an amount 12,000, which is 0. It's not a valid number or contains symbols. So if we look at what we have on this line, we have 12,000 with a number sign and a comma. So remember, we can't have number signs or commas in the file. So we're just going to delete that whole line. We've fixed our Fund 61. So we'll go ahead and save this file. We've corrected all the errors listed here, so we're going to do it again. We're going to browse, find the revenue file, and click Import. Again, we get the warning. We're trying to import, so we're going to say yes. And now we have the file imported. So now we've been successful in uploading the file. So where's our data? How do we find it? We have to go find a fund code. And voila, there's everything. So we have all of the calculated revenues. We can't overwrite those by our file upload, but we did add to them by putting in all of our other revenue files. So we have information there for general fund. We have transportation or bus depreciation. All of our information that was on our file is now in here. So now if you're going through here and you notice, oh, I forgot a particular revenue code or a number is off. So how do you do that? You can add manual records at any time. So if we go down here, for example, let's pick a fund here. We'll go to our building reserve fund. Again, remember we can't enter anything here because we have to do a sub-fund code. So here's our sub-fund. We've selected that. Now we can enter a revenue. So if we want to pick a revenue, we'll just pick one randomly here, put in some dollar amounts, and click Save. Now we've added to our revenues, but we haven't changed anything that we've uploaded. Similarly, if it's not the right number, you can always go back and just change the amounts. But remember, if I go back and I hit Browse again, and I re-upload, now that one that I entered manually has been overwritten by what I uploaded. Okay. So the next question is then, how do you validate what you have uploaded? And the answer is pretty simple. So it's pretty much the same that you've done before. So if you click Print Revenue Report, it's going to give you the exact same revenue report that you're used to seeing. The same with your validation report. Now, there may be validations that are not on your file upload that do come up on your validation report. And that's because the upload is only validating the revenue strings compared to funds to determine if it's a valid record. It's not comparing things like your balance sheet or your 280 special ed expenditures. So you're still going to get the same corrective, warning, validations that you've always gotten in the past. Okay. Are there any questions on the revenue part of this? Pretty simple and straightforward, yes?
Yes. Are we going to create a separate file for our elementary and then also for our high school?
If you have two separate LE numbers, yes, you will have two separate upload files.
Okay, thank you.
So there'll be one revenue file, one expenditure file for each legal entity. Okay, so now we'll switch to expenditures. Okay, so this is the expenditure template. You can see it's very similar to the revenue template. So it starts out with your legal entity, but there's another field here, and Kara showed you the new field for school code. So if you want to enter school code, or if you're required to because your district size is greater than 1,000 for fiscal year 18, then you can enter your school code. Again, the LE, this is 4 digits, so it's format cells custom, and then 4 zeros. So now if you enter any digit number, formats it to 4 digits. The same for the school code. School code must also be 4 digits. Fiscal year, again, must match year for upload. So this is 2018. We need to type in an allowable fund code. Again, this has to be in 2-digit format. Oh, we got an error here for some reason. There we go. Subfund, again, only required for Fund 61. This is our program code. These are in 3 digits. Function codes are all 4 digits. We don't have to pad these. Object codes, 3 digit. Project reporter codes, again, these are required for Fund 15 and for Subfund 611, the safety transfers in Fund 61. These have to be padded to 3 digits. So we're going to do the format cells again. And then again, your amounts in your expenditures must be greater than 0. So with revenues, we could have negative expenditures. With revenues, you could have negative numbers. In expenditures, they must all be greater than 0. So you can't have 0, you can't have negative expenditures. And again, no commas and no symbols there. So just like that. Okay. So as with the revenues, you want to make sure that you complete the previous steps. You can do revenues and expenditures in opposite order, that's okay. The most important thing, again, is making sure that you have all of your project reporter codes so that you don't get an error on your file upload. So now if we go to expenditures, again, you can choose a fund or you can leave it blank. It defaults to blank. Oops. Have to browse for the file first. Go to expenditures and import. Don't ever, if you get this, that's the first time I've ever gotten this where it says don't let this page create more messages. Don't ever click this box. I didn't know that that was an option. We want to make sure that every time that you're saying, okay, I understand, if I click here, I'm deleting anything that was previously entered. So again, we have file cannot be imported. And there's a list of errors. So here I did not format my codes correctly. So let's go in here and take a look. Ah, look, I'm missing my 0 padding on my formatting. So an LE must be 4 digits. Again, format cells custom. There it is. School code must also be 4 digits, so we'll put in those 4 digits. Our fund code must be 2 digits. So format cells custom, 2 digits. And then our project reporter code must be 3 digits. And we will save that. Okay, we got one more error on our file upload. It's actually 3 separate errors, but it's all in the same line here. So it says one record with 100 as program code, 1000 as function code, and 100 as object code. So if I go back to my file, I take a look. So this line right here, line 23, you could see these did not roll to 1XX, 1XXX, and 1XX. So the way that it currently works is that your file must be rolled up. We do not accept individual strings. So you would want to make sure these are rolled, 1X, 1XXX, and 1XX. Okay. So that should fix the errors in our file. So now we'll rebrowse. Find our expenditure file. And we will import expenditures. Again, warning. Say okay. And here it has the message file imported. We must select a fund in order to view expenditures. Now with the new reporting, there are some additional requirements. So here I can show 5 items per page, and I'm going to go ahead and select all. so that I can show you that as we scroll down, we can see that there are some expenditures that now have a school code associated with them. If we want to see those individual expenditures by school code, simply select the school code. And that will show you only those expenditures that have that school code associated with it. So now you have individual pages as well as all of your expenditures for each fund. Okay. And again, you can enter revenues here or expenditures manually here as well. If you want to associate those revenues with a particular school code, you must select the school code first. Again, your validations are essentially the same. So you're going to print your expenditure report. And when you print the expenditure report from here, it's going to show you all of your general fund expenditures, even though you had a school code selected. So this is all of your general fund expenditures. Again, there may be expenditure validations that are not linked to the file upload itself, because again, it's looking at just your expenditure strings. So you're going to have that same validation report that you're used to seeing that have your corrective and your warnings on it as well. Okay, so how do you validate what you've entered by school code? Because that you can't do on this screen. So to look at a report of what you have entered by school code, go under Reports, TFS, and Expenditures by School Code. If I select the school that we just uploaded, I can select one school, two schools, or I can select all three. We'll just select all three and we'll take a look. So this report is designed to show you all of your revenues for the general fund for prior year and current year. And then it's going to show you separately what your expenditures are related to those revenues by school code. So I've entered $244,872.58 in expenditures for Belfry School, $68,785.99 for the high school, and the same for the elementary, or for the middle school, sorry. So that's where that is located. So it's outside of the TFS, again, under Reports and TFS. We are working on a view that we're going to put out there for you as well that will give you all of the information in Excel format. So you'll have the ability to take all funds, school code, no school code, and you can pivot, play with it, verify it, do whatever you want to do with it in Excel format as well. So I think it is simply as easy as that. Many of the behind the scenes things are the same as the compensation expenditure report. So the vendors are pretty familiar with the format that we're using. We've had conversations with most of the vendors, the major vendors already. And I think that they will have an upload format available for you from your base financial system. So it should be as simple as an export and an import as it is with the compensation expenditure report. Are there any questions? Anybody planning to use this? Comments? Did I put everybody?
I have a question on when you went in and fixed that expenditure.
Yes.
So say you already had a line that would have converted to the 1XX, 1XX, 1XX. Do you need to find that and add it to it, or will it accept more?
So
than
if you have a
one?
line in there that has, say, a 100 program code, it will not upload that line. It will error out on you. You have to fix it in your file or delete it and then go manually enter it. So if you're under data entry, TFS, and expenditures, you can see that all of these are rolled up. So there's not an option to enter 100, 1000. So what you can enter on the file matches exactly what you can manually enter in the TFS. Does that answer your question?
Well, no, because I'm just wondering, so you had to go back and correct that one line. So if there was
Correct,
already
yes.
on your Excel, you would need to find that and add that one that you corrected, add the amount to it.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Was that Kathy Fernando? Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
I think I have the same question. For example, we break out each of our VOED, woods, metals, FFA, all into different category numbers of our program numbers. So I know in Mayfairs, you have to roll them up all together. So those we have to go in and manually change as well?
Not necessarily. And so let me go back to the expenditure file. I'm sorry, I pulled up the revenue file. If you have duplicate lines, so if, for example, let's go down here to one of these 390s. So if I had this 390 that was in my system as, say, program 1, and then I had a second 390 1XX, 1XX that was program 2, you can upload 2 of the exact same lines and it will come out summed together. These 2 will sum together as one line in Mayfairs. Does that make sense? So when you pull the information out of your system, you might have multiple 390 1XXX, 1XX lines, and that's okay to have that in the file, as long as this string is correct.
No, I'm saying like ours is maybe 391, 392, 393, 394. We break out each individual VOED section, so it would not import correctly. I would have to fix that, correct?
I'm guessing yes, that would be. If it rolls to, so 39X, for example, and you had 391, 392, 393, yes, you would have to roll it to 39X. And I'm thinking that the systems, your software vendors are working on that, so you might want to contact with them to see what they're doing in that regard.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? If there aren't any other questions, I'm going to switch this back to Kara, and I'm going to let her wrap up and make some final comments.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Nicole. That was a good demonstration. I appreciate that. Does anybody have any general questions? That was kind of my goal for today, just to go through the uploading and show you how the Building Reserve Subfund will look in the Mayfair screens. Any other questions or comments in general?
I have a question about the sub-funds. This is Kelly in Glasgow. So we did a safety transfer, but then we also did a budget amendment to Fund 261. So I asked Nika, and so she said, well, the expenditures will have to have the OPI project reporter code, assigned one.
Yes.
So that would just be those expenditures for this fiscal year, because I don't think we're gonna spend it all out. It'll be, some of it will be spent in the next year. So next year, do I use the safety project reporter code?
Yes, you use your safety sub-fund project reporter code. So this year, the expenditures related to the budget amendment need to have the project reporter code from the budget amendment. And next year, yeah, as long as you ask for the authority for your fund balance, you'll be okay.
Okay, and then but I would do the transfer with the regular safety 611, though, the actual moving of the money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Have you sent that transfer in to us?
I did. I sent it to Nika, so she has that. I haven't got the number back yet, but.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hi, Kara. This is Dustin in Columbia Falls.
Dustin?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I am eagerly awaiting the guidance for the school code. I guess I just was wondering if did I miss something, or, and I say eagerly kind of haphazardly. But I know I've got to probably enter those in for this next year's FY19 budget, at least on my end and my GL, so I can properly report them at the end of the year. And I was just hoping to maybe accomplish that sometime before August, and just didn't know if you could provide an update on that. I've been kind of not going to all the meetings and whatnot, so maybe in the dark on this.
And Dustin, who is your software vendor?
Tyler Tech.
Okay, and Tyler, we're still trying to make more connections with, see how they're setting that up. But yes, you do have over 1,000 enrollment in your district?
Yep.
Yeah. So you will, at the end of fiscal year 19, have to report by school code. I will have the draft of the guidance. Are you on the work group committee?
Nope, I'm not.
Okay. Let me send out, I have some revisions to make on the guidance, and I will send it out to all the affected districts, because there's just a few who aren't on the work group committee, but I'll get that out to you so you can look at it and review it.
Yeah, that'd be appreciated, even if it's not final. I just try and understand at least like which expenditure codes we're going to have to report. I assume it's not all of them, but probably salary, benefits, those sort of things. But I guess in Fund 14, I don't know if all the benefits need to be. So anyway, if there's anything you could send that help me understand at this point, that'd be helpful.
Yes, I will. And yes, salaries and benefits both have to be allocated out as much as possible. But yes, I will send that out.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. As I understand it, we'll send all of the schools each of their school codes for when they're doing their budgets for next year and entering the POs.
And yeah, it depends how the district wants to do that, but that would be what I would do if I were on their end, is have the school code if I'm required to report on that. And when I pay that bill, I use that school code in my system. And not all the vendors have the 4-digit school code, because it'll have to tie into our Mayfair's Central, what we officially assign each school code as. But I know they're doing some crosswalks with some vendors, so anyway, that's kind of a sidebar, but yes, that would be the way to do that.
So we receive that information from OPI or actual software?
Like a list of the school codes?
Yes.
Yeah. Who's this on the phone? And I will send you yours. Who is this? And I'll send you your school district.
It's Vanessa at Corval.
Okay. Yeah, and if you go into, when you go into Mayfair's, when it's open, you will be able to see the drop-down list of your school codes too. So here, this one is 0326. I don't know if I have Corvallis on mine. No.
Right, but I know we're entering POs for the 18-19 school year already, and we need to make sure that we code them correctly and put those org numbers, I guess, as you call it, for them. Is that correct?
Yes, I'll get that to you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, well, I appreciate everyone's participation, and hopefully it was useful. Was it useful information to you? This is the first webinar we're trying out, and just want to know if it's working, if it's effective to you, if it's good use of time.
I think it's a good use of time. I appreciate all you're doing. I just know there's going to be a lot of changes because each school district may handle their budgets differently. Like I was talking about our BOES broken out, but there'll be a lot of adjustments that we'll have to make manually, but we'll get it worked out with your guys' support.
I like your format. That's just great. The webinar.
And that was, okay, great. And we won't be able to do the summer trips around the state to do the OPI workshop, so this is one of our alternative methods, so I'm hoping it's still effective.
Yes.
Anyone else? Okay, well, I'll let you all go. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Thank you.
You too.
Hello?